Well, hello again, dear friend. Welcome back. My name is Zach Treby. Welcome to Zach Treby School of Drums, where I help people build high-paying music careers and build lives that they can enjoy and actually afford stuff. Doesn't that sound great? So, I almost forgot what to say because sometimes my brain gets tired and, you know, because when you have students and coaching clients, you're a lot of your mental bandwidth is taken up a lot of times. So sometimes, I get a little fatigued and my brain doesn't work as well, right? So, all right, so a little off the cuff today, and this one I'm kind of excited about. So, Anika Nilles is still kicking ass with Rush, right? Of course she is. Hopefully this microphone actually continues to be a good boy for me and cooperate, because if not, I'm going to be kind of mad. Oh, whatever. I could always start this over, not the worst thing. So anyway, Annika's still kicking ass with Rush, right? And, I get a lot of people asking me, hey, Zach, how do I build a career like hers? And, if you go back and reverse engineer what she did, it's really not that difficult. And they're really promotional steps, as I call it. And this is what I teach in my Gig Ready Drummer challenges, the 5 multi-day online challenge that I run every month. And it's really simple. All I give people are these plans, right? These easy steps. And, some people choose to do every one of them. Some people choose one or two, and off they go on to build a music career. It's actually very easy, okay? And that's what I wanted to kind of reverse engineer how simple this is, okay? So I'm just going to read some of Anika's, profile online. So I picked Wikipedia because it's condensed and I can cover stuff in a very small small way, but also expand on this stuff, right? But before I get into that, let me just continue on saying what I have been saying this whole time. So there are clues, because success leaves clues, right? And I'm always saying stuff like there's 2 types of stages, right? There's a digital stage, right, and a physical stage, right? Obviously, the physical stage came first because a digital stage is anything like YouTube or Instagram or LinkedIn or something like that, or Facebook. Look, YouTube or any of these is just like way back in the day when they had the Ed Sullivan Show. And today we have like Jimmy Fallon and stuff like that. That's still promotion, right? Because you're getting promoted on that show if you're on it, right? Well, if you look at YouTube as like your own personal TV show, then it becomes a little easier to promote yourself a little bit. Because you could show off your skills. And that's really what I'm talking about when I talk about the digital stage, right? Anyway, so just getting that out of the way. So whether you're performing in a band, which is another form of promotion, because obviously you got to play in front of an audience, and like I've said, without an audience you can't do anything. Like anything, like I've said in the last video, without audience, without people, here it is. What is an audience made out of? People. Without people we can't eat, because we need farmers. We can't be intimate with people. We can't have sex. We can't, I said this in the last video. Without people, you can't do anything. So that's where business thrives, is the person, and if you're in front of people and people know who you are, it becomes a lot easier, okay? So if you're playing in a band, that's promotion, right? And whether you're promoting yourself, and then if you have a YouTube channel, you're promoting yourself, right? Now you could be either promoting your passion or promoting your business, right? So either way, it's just eyes on you. Okay, so let's reverse engineer Anika's steps, right? How she built her career, okay? So if you do this, if you go back and you do the things that she did, look, you will build some type of a career. It'll look different, but it'll still be a career. So I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's bad to follow in people's footsteps. I think that's a good thing. I've done it. Tons of my students have done it. That's one of the things I teach my students what to do is to promote themselves. And I help them. I help people that don't have the means to do that. So, whether it's recording or video recording, what have you, right? Anyway, so let's start from scratch here, or from the beginning. Here we go. So Anika Nilles, right? Born on 29th May 1983, is a German drummer, composer, and musical educator. Okay, so being a musical educator, that's a big one, because she's not just a performer, she's a music educator. Okay, musical educator. And that's a big one because, again, that's another way to promote yourself. I myself am a teacher as well. And that's some of the skills I have. And you can build a great career on that, or you can build a career on playing and teaching, right? You can perform and teach. It's not hard. It's not, these are I'm just pointing out some of the things that you can, that you could chase after and make your own, right? So it doesn't take a lot, music education is mainly research. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Okay, instead of going to what most people think is music education, it's actually not. You know what? Ready? You know where music education is at? People. What do I mean by that? We could have tons and tons of discussions, hours upon hours about this, but I'm just gonna keep it really brief. Okay, just to keep time of the essence, right? Time is of the essence. When you're teaching, right? If you're a teacher, and when you're teaching to people, okay, it's always a good idea to find out what they like, right? So if it's a drummer, right, you're teaching a drum student, find out right away what they like, who they like, what genres they like, instead of what people have told you to do. So instead of going right for stick control or syncopation or a new breed, look, I'm telling you, the music industry doesn't work like that. You know how the music industry works? And we're talking about music education here, right? Musical education. Musical education is about teaching what's already coming out. And I got to tell you, out of all the colleges that I've researched and taught at, I've never seen a college do a curriculum or anything on like the metal scene that's coming out these days. Like bands like The Plot in You, Converge, Carmen like Sleep Token. This is what the kids are listening to, and it's our job as educators to research that and not like turn a blind eye, right? Not turn away from it. Okay, that's a really bad idea. Like if you're over 40, like I am, and you're still talking about Led Zeppelin to your students, your young students, that's a great way to get them not to pay attention to you. Because yes, most people know who Led Zeppelin is, but I gotta tell you, I have students on both sides of the equation where some of them know who Led Zeppelin is and some don't. Okay, and it's always a good idea to keep on top of music. Okay, that's a music educator. Okay, not just teaching the arts, right? The performing arts. It's much more than that. Music needs to be a scope. Okay, anyway, so let's continue. I just wanted a little side note, okay, on musical education. She launched her career on YouTube. Okay, let's stop there. Okay, she launched her career on YouTube during the early 2010s. Okay, look at that. Okay, so clearly, that was one of the first things she did. Now, of course, back in the day, like, if you were Neil Peart from Rush, you didn't have that ability to be on YouTube because it didn't exist. Well, hooray for us. We do have YouTube, and we can promote ourselves a little easier than some of these older guys, right? We have that ability now, which is great. That's great to know. So, and by the way, you don't have to play in a band. You don't have to. Anika wrote her own material, and we're about to get to that. But you can start on YouTube, right? You can actually start showcasing your skills. All right. So again, if you want some easy steps, here it is. And by the way, it's not just her, right? You can go look up your favorite drummers, and you can actually build a roadmap blueprint. I'm telling you, it works. I've done it with tons and tons of clients. It works. So if they can do it, you can do it too, my friend. So let's continue, okay? So she launched her career on YouTube during the early 2010s and has released 3 full albums to date, all with the backing band Neville, okay? In 2017, she had Pickler, right? In 2020, she had For a Colorful Soul and False Truth in 2025. Okay, well, if you have that kind of skill, I most definitely would consider showcasing that skill, right? So if you're a drummer, or not just a drummer, if you're a musician in general, it's not just drummers here. Okay, anyone could build a music career. Okay, but if you're a drummer, okay, because this is the Gig Ready Drummer podcast here. If you're a drummer and you possess songwriting skills, that's not a bad idea. Okay, start writing stuff and start promoting it. Okay, play to it on YouTube. And you can look up Anika and on YouTube and see how she did it, and you can copy and paste. In other words, follow through. You can copy her. Okay, it's not a bad thing. It doesn't have to be the same music either, because I know she's got more of like a fusion-y kind of thing going on, which is great, and I love it. But this could be a lot simpler than you think, and that's what I'm trying to say here is simplicity is key. Don't overthink this. Okay, so she released some albums. Okay, continuing. On 6 October 25, oh my God, let me try that again. On 6 October 2025, Nilles was announced as the touring drummer for Rush's 2026 reunion tour. Okay, so that's the beginning of Wikipedia here, right? So obviously there were some other steps, and we're going to read those, okay? But and I'll just paraphrase for now. In between, she had, she toured with Jeff Beck and a few others. She did a few clinic tours. So these are things that, it's all getting eyes in front of you, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. It's just getting eyes in front of you. That's all we're talking about. It is not complicated. Anyway, so let's check this out. Here's the early life section. Okay. Nilles was born into a family with multiple drummers and started drumming at age 6. Now listen, you do not need to have a family full of drummers to be successful, okay? I'm just reading what's here, all right? I didn't grow up in a household like that. I was the only drummer, and there was no competition in my family. So continuing on. Let's continue. When interviewed by South African drummer, she mentioned having 2 uncles, 1 cousin, and a father who are drummers. Okay, so that's great, because so she had a lot of support. Whether your family are musicians or not, it doesn't really matter. As long as you have support, that's always good. Her father, she says in quotes, taught me the first grooves as he realized I was interested in drumming. Okay, and then fast forwarding. After school, Nilles had a career in social education, which she left to pursue drumming full time. She earned a degree in popular music from the Pop Academy Baden-Württemberg in Mannheim. Okay, so in case you guys don't know what that is, that's a pop music academy in Germany. Okay, and I believe she happens to be part of the staff there, from what I understand. So, which is always good. Okay. Now, if you look, I'm going to insert something here. If you look on Drumeo, there's a clip where she talks about, I think Jared Folk starts to ask her any tips she could offer, which she does, and they're fantastic, on building a music career. And you know what she says? She says, promoting yourself, YouTube, social media. She talked about that. And I'm telling you right now, she got that from the Pop Academy. Or if she didn't, I can almost guarantee she did, okay? I don't have her here now, so I can't ask her. But I guarantee she figured something out, and it totally works. Because you see this. Pick any drummer that's out there today that is successful. The steps are the same. It might look a little different, but it's the same. All right, because it's still getting eyes in front of you. You can look at it like getting a job. It's the same. I'm sorry, not like getting a job. Building a business. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Okay, it just takes a little time. Okay. All right. So the career portion. Here we go. Nilles posted her first original compositions, "Wild Boy," in 2013, followed by "Alter Ego" in 2014. These and other music videos usually contain a visual recording of her drumming alongside previously recorded music. Okay, so again, that's what I was talking about in the original music. Originally, that's what I was talking about. If you have that skill to write music, not a bad idea to record yourself playing to that, because that shows people you have other skills to offer, how you can serve people, right, in your chosen field. That's a big deal, all right, just so you know. Continuing, in such videos, she has historically cooperated with producer and guitarist Joachim Schneiss. Afterward, Nilles began acquiring work and viral attention outside of her native Germany, including tours of Europe, the United States, and China in 2015. Okay, so yeah, she definitely utilized tours, because basically she got some attention, and that's what happens when you start promoting yourself. You start to the opportunities start to present themselves. Okay, and that's something that I talk about with my students. I'll give an example here. Story time. Very brief. And this is in other videos, but here we go. Very short story. Student of mine, right? We were auditioning to get him into Jazz at Lincoln Center Academy back in, I think it was from like February to May, right? That was the timeline he had. And short story, he didn't get in, right? But I put his audition tapes together, right? And I mixed and mastered them with the audio as well. So it was video and audio together. And there was 3 of them, right? 3 videos. And they loved it so much that they forwarded those videos. They forwarded those videos to the director of Fordham University. And they run a jazz workshop every week. And I believe some students can go like more than 1 week. And every week the workshop is different. But they have dorms and stuff. And so basically they paid him, right, my student, to go to this workshop, and he had a blast. And he came back and just told me all about it, and he was just literally on cloud 9. And he even said, he's like, I didn't think this could get any bigger, and I'm like, oh, it gets much bigger. Oh, believe me. And he's very young. He's 15. Now that's very different from my coaching clients who are older, and but that's a whole different animal. They're trying to get really high paying gigs. That's a different animal. But I'm talking about my regular students here, right? And it's all the same. It's all the same. The opportunities, whether you're young or older, getting into a career or not, once you start passing around, your own videos, what you do, people take notice, and there will be people who will take notice. All right, let's continue. In 2017, Nilles' debut album Picklar was released, consisting of 10 instrumental tracks, and I've heard that album, and it's pretty good. All right. As promotion for the album, Nilles was the cover artist and interviewee for the June 2017 edition of Modern Drummer magazine. So there you go, more promotion. Okay, see what I mean? It's just eyes in front of you. In the interview, Nilles stated that she coined the word picklar, which is intended to stand for things that happen in life that you can't describe. So she's really talking about opportunities, right? And she's making it personal. That's a thing. In other words, she's telling a story. That's what's going on here. And let me tell you something. We all love stories, don't we? Of course we do. That's why we love movies and novels and stuff, Anyway, continuing. Nilles embarked on a 6-date United States clinic tour in October 2018 and performed at venues such as the Chicago Music Exchange, Sweetwater Sound in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Salt City Drums in Salt Lake City, Utah. So there you go, right? And it wasn't long, right? She started in like 2013, I think it was, or maybe a little earlier. Look at that. Didn't take long, okay? Didn't take long at all. And I'm sure there are things that are not being mentioned here, opportunity-wise, that we don't know about, that we could pick apart, but we don't have all that information, right? There's always more to the picture, okay, or more to the story. All right, so continuing. Her second full-length album, For a Colorful Soul, featuring her band Neville, was released in 2020. It reached number 3 on the U.S. iTunes Top 40 jazz charts, as well as number 3 in Germany. Nilles teaches at Nexus ICA UK, at Drumeo Canada, and at Pop Academy Baden-Württemberg, Germany. Okay, so, all right, I was wrong. She teaches that way more than just the Pop Academy. I mean, again, we're talking about massive opportunities here just because she chose one platform. I'm talking about YouTube here, okay? And the reason why I make a big deal about YouTube is because it's evergreen, right? It's always there, and people can still find you regardless, whether it's a year from now or 10 years from now. All right, let's continue. We're almost done. Since 2021, she has also been head of the drums department at Pop Academy Baden-Württemberg. Well, there you go. That's exactly what I've been saying. Nilles joined Jeff Beck's live band for his U.S. and European tour in 2022. In October 2025, Nilles was announced as the drummer for Rush's 2026 50-something tour. All right, so the tours came a bit later, but you see the pattern, okay? When people see that you are active, right? Let's put it another way. Action takers are money makers. Now, I learned that from a friend of mine, okay? And, it's true. It's true. I mean, Neil Peart. Let's talk about Neil Peart. I know this is so cliche of me to do this because Anika, that's what we're talking about. But let's talk about what he accomplished, right? Without YouTube. Well, what did they do half the time? They toured. They made records and toured. Okay, so all they had missing was the YouTube. Okay, but notice they are always in front of eyes. And, of course, the record companies had something to do with that. However, the principles are still the same, and I make a big deal about these things, these promotional steps in my book, right? And it's just about music business, and that's all it is, how music business works. Well, I can tell you right now, you want to understand music business or music education, or one of those two, or both, it's called people. That's it. That's the key to this whole thing. An audience, right? Whether it's an audience of 1 or 1 million, it doesn't matter. The point is, it's the same. The steps are the same and involves people. You gotta get people's attention, and it's very easy. If you, okay, friend, if you just post a few videos of you demonstrating what you do, you're telling a story. Okay. What particular story? No, who knows? That's up to you. But you're telling a story. Like this is what I do, and this is what I'm into. And either people like your story or they don't. It's just like movies. Either some people like movies and certain movies, and other people like other movies. A lot of people don't like the same movies as you might. So we're all different, right? And that's something, that's what I really teach in my Gig Ready Drummer Challenges and my coaching programs is if you can understand that it's all about people, you will have a much easier time building a career. And it doesn't have to take long. It's very easy, And so anyway, I'm going to stop here. But if you're interested in the Gig Ready Drummer Challenge, there's some links in the description below, and you can check them out. And also, I left my PDF, the 12 highest paid gigs, right? Now, the way to get that, and I've said this in other videos, right? It's not one of those automatic link drops, meaning you click on it and then you get it. I set it up a little differently because the way I'm going to connect with people is if you want the PDF, just send me a message by email. You can just click the link and it'll bring you to a message box. And just send me a message saying, hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm from here and I would like the PDF. And I will send it to you because I just want to connect. I just want to know who you are. I don't want any spam, I'm not into that. And I'm not just trying to collect email addresses, all right? Again, this is why I talk about people. It's all about relationships. And I'm not talking about leveraging relationships, although that can be something that will naturally work in your favor later in your music career because you'll develop like real relationships where people want to help you and vice versa. And you won't have to force it. You won't have to super leverage because you're trying to get a leg up. You know what I mean? So that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about here is just it's just an audience, just people. That's it. It's not difficult. So if you want the PDF, just ask for it. And I'm curious to know who you are. That's all. And either you'll, ask for it or you won't. I mean, I hope you do because I'm always looking to help and serve people better. So anyway. Okay, friends, so this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed this because Anika is great. And I've been a fan for the past 12 years, maybe more, before she was in Rush. And, of course, Rush being one of my favorite bands of all time, probably the number one. This is like a treat for me, I get to go see them in August 23rd. Which is really, really exciting. So this will be my 5th time seeing them, so I'm excited. So anyway, good friend, it was great chatting with you. So until next time, I'll see you later.